Drake here at maritimegardening.com. It's the middle of August 2022 and it's time for another garden tour brought to you by my sponsors, Bessie Seeds and Safer's Gardening Products. Let's go have a look around the garden. Alright, so it's around 9 a.m. in the morning and it is hot, at least hot by local standards. I think it's 27 Celsius already. The potatoes in the little bed outside the garden enclosure are almost ready to be harvested. You're seeing some of them starting to turn yellow, right? These ones didn't go to flower. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But if they start turning yellow, they're ready anyway. People have asked me questions about that sort of thing. These squash are coming along. A lot of growing left to do. I got beans here and Swiss chard growing over there. Nothing too phenomenal yet, but we still have more time. I don't really like eating Swiss chard till the fall months anyway, so it doesn't matter. A little bit of more mulch is needed there. I've had a heck of a time sourcing mulch this year. It's basically, and I guess the theme, so I don't keep harping on about it. This is the worst garden I've had in years when it comes to weeds, and I've done the poorest job mulching it ever this year. So I think just about every problem I have this year was due to not mulching, because we had excellent growing conditions this summer. Hot, sunny, just fantastic growing conditions, but I did not do a thorough job of mulching in May, June, and I've paid a price. That being said, I still have lots of good results, so let's go have a look around. This bed here, I had the Pak Choy growing. That's all sort of done. It's just going crazy here. I basically let two of them go to seed, and you can see the little bees are doing their work, right? And I'm going to try to save the seeds. As far as I understand, I think these are open pollinated, so why not, right? And I'm only growing one variety of that, so why not give it a go? I really like the Pak Choy. I definitely will grow it again, and I'd like to have a lot of seeds so I can do a fall crop as well. I'm out of seeds, otherwise I'd be planting a fall. I would have planted a fall crop a couple weeks ago, because they grow really fast and they're delicious greens. If you like your greens, they're good. I might even like them better than kale, and I like my kale. This bed was so weedy and so bad. You know, I got another bed like this, a couple other beds I'm going to show you like this, were beds that just let get out of control. And you know, for me, the solution is just rip it all up, push everything down, and smother it out. And if you do that this time of year, August, you've got August, September, October. That should be 3 months basically. 3 months with no sunlight should kill everything. Right, so next season, the bed should be very easy to plant in. So it's easier than going whole hog trying to pull out every single weed. Just kill everything. And everything that was growing there will be food for the soil organisms, and it'll be ready next year. Right, so this garden's shut down for the year. This one had Egyptian walking onions, so I have to sort of leave that one go, but you know, that's doing fine. I had a video I did a while ago where I didn't have any of my bloody dock coming in, but actually it did come back. But it seems to have been doing all its growing very recently. So maybe that's a fall crop. Who knows? Anyway, I got 2 plants and I moved one ahead. It must have gone to seed because, look, I've got one in my walking path here that I haven't decided where I want to put this yet. But this one just came up on its own, right? So, yeah, they do self-seed, clearly. Here's another bed that I just shut down. This was lettuce and spinach months ago. Over here, all the garlic that was growing here has been pulled, and it's been in the process of being dried out and saved for the winter and for seed stock. I've done lots of videos on that. Maybe I'll put one at the end of this video if you want to know how I do all of that. And I'm lucky now, I got a 12-year-old and an almost 14-year-old. They do all the work, and I just supervise, which is great. This is the bed where I had potatoes and peas. Yesterday I took down the trellis, and because all the vines were basically dead. This is the pea vines, right? They're just shot. We still got the potatoes, but as you can tell, the potatoes are ready to be harvested. I think these were like Kennebec or Russet Burbank or something like that. So maybe I'll do a harvest video on that, just to show what kind of results you get when you interplant peas with potatoes. Or not peas, yeah, peas with potatoes. What kind of potatoes you get when, because you think they're kind of in the shade of the pea plants, but they still seems to work out just fine. So maybe I'll do a harvest video mean, look how thick stalk is on that. That's just for curiosity's sake. I love, yeah, it's not a bad looking potato right there, right? That looks delish. You'll have it with supper. Anyway, let's get that out of the sun. Put that weed on top. Come back for that later. Never leave your potatoes in the sun unless for just, you can do it for a couple hours to dry them out, but otherwise they'll start to turn green. Got beets over here. Not looking too amazing. I did a terrible job of beets this year. I did not mulch these, so they're not turning out. They're basically half the size they should be by now. So I should have mulched them. I really blew it with beets this year. It's a shame because I love beets. This is parsnips. They're coming in great. They could use a thinning. I just keep putting it off, but this would be a good time to get around to doing that. This is my carrot garden. I did thin this, and I shot a video of that. So they're just recovering from that stress. More carrots over here with coriander. The coriander's just about done. It's starting to go to seed and stuff like that, so I'm gonna have to pull the coriander and just leave that. Basically do a row of carrots, row of coriander, one after the other. I got some bush beans over here. There's serpentine yellow beans, and kids have been picking those. Here I got the pole beans, the Vortex, big long delicious beans. Everyone I've given these to loves them. And here's a fully mature one here, right? They're like a foot long and about over a 1/4 inch in diameter, and they're just a delicious, tender, tasty bean, and very productive. We're basically filling a big bowl every 2 days from this one 10-foot long trellis, right? So it's a lot of beans. And just because I was worried we might not have enough beans, I planted a row of provider beans along this side, bush beans, and a row down that side, and I filmed all of that, and look how well they're coming in, right? They're already at flower, right? They're going to work out great. Someone was asking me about saving the seeds of these and whether I was concerned with them being cross-pollinated with these. Well, most of these beans were formed, the flowers were pollinated long before these flowers showed up, right? So if I just pick a couple to leave on the vine to fully mature to go to seed, I'm very confident that if I leave these, right, that they will. All I would do is just put a little ribbon around them so my kids don't pick them. That's all you got to do. You don't need a lot, maybe a dozen of these. Give me a lot of seeds, right? I think this whole bed, when I planted these pole beans, it was about 60 seeds I put out. Right, 30 on one side, 30 on the other side of the trellis. Right, that's about the amount. So anyway, if I do save the seeds, I'm not too concerned about them having been cross-pollinated with these down here. And also, there is a risk, because these were flowering at the same time as these initially. So there is a risk that these yellow beans cross-pollinated with these Vortex. But these are high, these are low, and they're far, there's a bit of distance. There's a chance, right? But I'm not too worried about it. Kale's starting to come in nice. It's been a bit pest, as kale always. It's the favorite plant of every pest in the world. And then we've had a bit of shade here from the beans and stuff like that. And this spot has just generally been shady. As you can see, my cucumbers, if you've been watching my channel for years, this is the worst cucumber garden I've ever had in my life. So I'm very, I love my, I grow these we use them in salads. The big ones, we use them in salads, but the small ones, I make all these dill pickles. I normally make about 6 gallons of dill pickles a year, which is basically a half-gallon jar a month, which is what I eat. Right? And these just did not come in. Now there's a number of possible reasons. This spot is shadier than it typically is because these grapes have come in so heavy, and just the trees and everything around here has just grown up so much. But I don't think that's the main problem. It could be, but I think the main problem is that this bed used to be 2 beds high, and the whole thing rotted away. So I replaced the wood this year, and because it had been a two-tier high bed and it went up to being a one-tier high bed, there was all this excess soil. So I took 6 inches of soil out of this bed and just distributed through other beds, right? And maybe that soil on the top was the really, really good stuff. I mean, some people are going to say, well, your bed's lower now, so there's too much water. No, that is not the problem. We're slightly above grade here, and water has definitely not been a problem here. If anything, that's the other thing. I didn't mulch this till quite late. You know, I probably should have. I was probably about a month behind schedule mulching this, so that may have affected the moisture availability when the plants were developing, and it may have stunted them. Some people might think that this stuff I'm using here, these wood chips, are robbing the soil of nitrogen. These weren't put on until the roots were quite deep. The only nitrogen that wood chips take out of the soil is the nitrogen at the very surface, where they're in contact with the soil, right? The roots are like, you know, 6, 7, 8, you know, deep, much deeper than that. So that is not the problem. Also, I've been, you know, using compost D on this and stuff like that. So there's no problem with availability of nitrogen in the soil here, right? So I just think of the late mulching, I got around to it later than normal. So the plants didn't have all the available moisture they need, and I just think they're a bit starved for light in this spot. So, you know, next year I'll put my cucumbers somewhere sunnier, right? And I'm going to put some compost and stuff like that, try to amp up the soil quality a little bit. Maybe it was the soil quality, I don't know. I don't even know about that, because look at this. It's a weed, but look at this parsley here. Look how green it is, right? I mean, it's not, this parsley does not need nitrogen. It's healthy, it's growing good, right? This is beautiful green parsley. If I had a nitrogen problem, it just wouldn't look like this, right? So I think I got a light problem and a water problem. That's all. So I need to, you know, and because they're stunted like this, I don't know how much growing they're going to do. But this is the one bed, you know, I normally leave all my plants alone, but for this bed here, I've been intervening. So I do water them, you know, about at least once a week, trying to squeeze some cucumbers out of this garden, get more out of it. Maybe if it can grow a little bit more, get a little bit more height, maybe it can reach the light. Maybe I can get some more out of it, right? I still got August, I still got September. Maybe the plants aren't done. I don't know, right? We'll see. As I mentioned earlier, the grapes, I mean, I really prune these down. I didn't film pruning them this year, but I took a lot out, and you never know. And there's clusters of grapes everywhere, right? Beautiful stuff, right? So yeah, we got lots of grapes. Hopefully I can pick them before the porcupines and the bears get at them. I don't know what I'm going to do. I usually make a grape jelly, but no one in the house really likes it. Last year we made a grape juice, and it was all gone in a matter of days. And the kids didn't seem to mind helping me make the grape juice. So maybe I'll just make a bunch of that and we can just enjoy it. It's not enough for wine, you know, and I don't really have the right setup in my house for making wine and beer and stuff like that. You sort of need the right kind of kitchen for it. I don't have the right setup. So maybe we'll just make grape juice. It's really good. Really, these are wine grapes, so they're not grapes you'd eat like as a snack. They don't have the right taste. But you know, you squeeze the juice out of them, add some water, add a bit of sugar. Delicious. I got potatoes over here, big old sunchokes over there. The raspberries here are a bit of a, once again, another kind of disaster story where a rabbit got at them again, cut them all down, and robbed me of a raspberry harvest this year. There's a few kicking around. Right, as you can see, they're a nice big juicy strawberry, but they're no good when a rabbit cuts them down at 2 feet high, right? That's just no good. They are delicious raspberries. So I'm gonna make a video about this, but I honestly think this fall I need to reorganize the entire garden, like massively, which is going to be a lot of work. But lately I've been thinking that's the right thing to do. So stay tuned for that. This was supposed to be a garlic garden, but the garlic, well, basically most of the garlic, all the garlic that did grow have been harvested. The middle of the garden really didn't have anything happen. The garlic didn't come on. They all died during the winter. So I direct seeded some onions, which seem to be growing, right? These are, they're called I can't remember the variety now. I'll put it up on the screen. It's like Northern. Oh, look, there's a toad. You see him? All right. Can't see him. I'm making too much shade. There we go. What a wonderful thing to see in the garden. Little toad there. I'm happy. More toads the better, in my opinion. Anyway, so I moved some kale from one of the other beds, and I think the kale in this garden can still be thinned out a little bit more. So I'm just going to fill these spaces up with bits and pieces. Like those greens, kale and stuff like that, they can still grow a lot in September. So I'm going to fill this up with things like that. I moved one just the other day. You can see it kind of suffering in the heat, right? But in a month or so, this will all be looking good, I expect. These strawberries are basically done for a season. I just leave them alone till sometime in October when I'll mulch them real good. Tomatoes, no ripe ones yet, right? But they're coming along. We got some height, we got some size, we got some tomatoes, right? Definitely going to be enough. A little bit of yellowing on some of these. Whenever I see a yellow branch, I just remove it. What else you gonna do, right? That's what I've always done. Anything that looks diseased, just get it out of there right away. Right? But yeah, I got these, what are these called? Amish paste. And I can't remember what these are called, but they're a bush variety. They're both coming in good, lots of height. So yeah, hopefully we got some nice tomatoes in a few weeks. These zucchini did not have a strong start, not mulched. So if you look at the last garden tour I did, they look kind of sad and pathetic. Since then I came in, ripped up all the weeds, put down some paper, put the weeds on top of the paper. Now this garden's starting to look healthy, starting to grow. It's a bit behind, but everything's getting more productive. I did that papering job 2 or 3 weeks ago. Plants are just looking stronger and healthy and more vigorous, right? So I basically, it's like this garden was on life support. I gave it mouth to mouth, and now it's starting to get its strength back. So I expect some good results over the next couple weeks. These are collard greens. Last garden tour was a bit of a weedy mess. Now it's been weeded, it's been mulched. I took some, there's a video where I took some compost, first batch of finished compost out of the bottom tier of this sort of composting setup I got here. I put all that compost at the base of these collard greens. So every time it rains, I expect them to get a good, healthy dose of the good stuff. And a couple weeks from now, I expect some real vitality from these plants. Of course, right here we got some sweet mama squash, and they are growing. Look, there's one right there. I find squash for me tend to come on almost more in September, but these ones are already coming in good. This is a great garden for squash. I made this garden bigger last year, and of course we got Mr. Salt here keeping watch over everything. So he seems to be doing a great job protecting my garden. Over here I got some potatoes, pretty much ready to be harvested, some more than others. Looks like I've got a unharvested, I think that's a parsnip. I believe that's a parsnip. Boy, what a big one. I wonder if that's an unharvested one from last year that's gone to seed. This garden is supposed to be a strawberry garden. I've put a few things. Basically, this garden is a disaster. It's just, the only thing I've grown well here is potatoes. It's a shady spot. It's right against this sort of weedy no man's land on the other side of the fence. So I'm seriously considering, one of my neighbors has a backhoe, and I think I can give him a few bucks. Thinking of, even though I put an insane amount of energy into making this little pond, which is doing great, I think, and look, I mean, I just put it in this year. I didn't plant these cattails, but cattails started growing, right? I got 4-foot high cattails in here, right? That just happened on its own. So, I mean, it's done well, and I got lots of different plant life and different things growing. I mean, it's basically becoming a sort of flourishing ecosystem, and you can't see them, but the minnows are in there. They're doing just fine. Everything has what it wants, but really, that is prime gardening space. This whole area where I've got all these trees, I promised I wouldn't get into this garden rebuild thing, but it's on my mind. This whole area with all these weeds, it's gone all to hell. This is prime, full sunlight gardening area. And it just doesn't make sense the way I've got the garden laid out. It makes sense to have a massive pond here. A swale, right? Capturing all the rain coming off the hill. And to move all these trees and bushes back, right, towards the north end of the garden. Anyway, I'm going to do a video about this, so I don't get into it here, but it's a shame because I've got the most productive year I've ever had for blueberries. These plants are finally fully working great. I got my kids out here every day picking blueberries where I'm at work, or making blueberry pie and blueberry crumble, and I'm just loving it. But I think this all has to be moved. Anyway, I'm going to talk more about that in another video. I don't want to devote this video to that topic. So shut up, Greg. Stop talking about it. Let's move on here. There's one of those berry robbing birds. Birds are always in here. I guess for that matter, speaking of quality of nets, this cheap dollar store net is the best. It is like, I don't know, 20 feet long by 8 feet wide, and it does a great job. I'm really happy with it. Anyway, I got parsnips here. If you saw that video where I was cleaning up this eggplant garden, they're doing a lot better now. I mean, if you saw that video before, they didn't look like this, right? So the eggplant are coming along great. These artwork broccolini look terrible. They look nitrogen starved, but I think it's more that again, this is another bed I didn't mulch until recently. And it's in the shade of all these trees and stuff, right? So it's just not happening. Now there's still a lot of time left, right? I can turn these plants around and still get some good harvest out of them in later August, September, if I just get more diligent with, I actually have to hand water this and rejuvenate it, right? The plants have their roots established and they are growing. They just don't look as good as I think they should look. So yeah, I think this just needs a little TLC. Got onions over here. This mess is onions. It looks like a weedy mess, but there's decent onions in there, right? So I'm just not worrying about too much. You got to triage these things, right? So this does need to be weeded, clearly. But there's other things that need to be weeded more because the onions are still growing okay. Got a great squash bed here. This is butternut squash. They're a very sort of compact plant, but they're starting to form up, right? You can see them in there, starting to form up, right? That's doing really good. Actually got, where'd they go? So the partridge berries, lingonberries, we're producing berries in amongst this weedy disaster here in this corner. But I think some of them have been eaten. Yeah, I think some of them have been eaten because there was some here. Anyway, there wasn't enough to make jam. So this is like year 3 with this lingonberry garden. And yeah, there's one. Oh, where are they? These ones fell off. Anyway, that's kind of what they look like. They're not, they're not a bright color. They're sort of a dull. Look at cranberry. That's what a cranberry looks like when you pick it in the wild. And they're the same. They're basically cousins to that. Anyway, I didn't get enough yet. So it's year 3, it's still not there, but the plants continue to multiply in the space. So we'll see. The apple trees are, utterly laden down with fruit. But I think this is just the wrong place for an apple tree. Same with that one. I mean, this used to be, there used to be a fence here. That's why there's basically all the apple trees were at the end of the garden, at the far north end, right, where they're not going to cast shade or anything. Now I've got all these apple trees and bushes and 4-foot high things right in the middle of a garden. They should all be over there. Anyway, this was supposed to be a beet garden, and it's just become a weedy mess. So I just gave up and covered it with cardboard and said, the heck with that for this year. Just going to starve the weeds of light, and new plan for next year. This is one of my great success stories of this year. So a number of weeks ago I did a video where this pepper garden was a weedy mess. These are the peppers that were recommended to me by my podcast guest Lee Reich, who knows more about growing peppers than me. He said these sweet Italians grow, they're sort of compact and they grow fast and they make a nice delicious pepper. And I have never, in all my years gardening at this garden, at this location, I've never been able to get peppers this size, this developed by this time of year. Certainly not red in early August, mid-August. So I am hooked. I am a fan of the sweet Italian pepper. These, I mean, I started these indoors, and the only south-facing window I have in the house. They've been growing since I think I sowed the seeds indoors 1st of March. Yeah, if you're living somewhere where it's a challenge to get peppers sort of, get them off within your growing season, man, I have to say this might be the solution, because they've grown really well. I mean, I actually have peppers. I don't have to buy them for a month. That's good. And they seem to be very productive. There seem to be a lot of fruit per plant, right? So that's great. Over here, here's that weedy garden that I de-weeded and planted beans, and now it's all weedy again. So I either have to, and the weed is, again, more of these mustard greens, right? Which, yes, you can eat, but I got plenty of other things to eat in the garden that are better than mustard greens. For me, whenever I pick a weed, someone always says, you should check to see if that's edible. When you have a giant garden full of delicious vegetables, when it's producing, you don't eat weeds. You eat weeds when you got nothing. So I mean, that's just me. I'm talking about me here, right? I eat dandelion greens. There's a number of weeds that we eat in April and May, because they're always ahead of everything else in the garden. Once all the, garden vegetables, which are basically varieties of plants that human beings have been cultivating for centuries to taste great, right? Once all those things start being harvested, I'm not interested in eating weeds, right? Because the cultivars are better. This was garlic, that's all picked. This was garlic, that's all picked. Corn is, on track to give me some corn. All these sunchokes that I planted in this bed seem to be looking okay. So that's pretty much where things are. Hey, it's the morning of the next day, and I was just in the house editing the garden tour video, and I realized I never did a wrap up at the end of the video. I got distracted by something, I don't know, chasing butterflies or whatever. So I just ran out here in the rain to wrap the video up with an umbrella. So yeah, I mean, we're going away for 3 days, and just family vacation type stuff, and what a great break to get some rain the day we leave, right? So I know the garden's going to be in good hands, just taking care of itself while I'm gone. Got a couple things to pick before we go, so I have to get the kids out here picking beans and stuff. But other than that, that's where we are. Middle of August 2022. Some ups, some downs, learning process. Always the case, right? Yeah, you get some ups and downs, but it's all part of a learning process, and I've never really found that there was a point where I couldn't continue to learn. I hope that stays that way. I mean, I want to achieve perfection in everything I do every year, but that's probably impossible, right? But I'm always successful in learning. Every season I take away something. I would say this season, the thing I've taken away so far is that I need to redesign this garden. I'm dreading the work. Also, moving perennials and stuff like that, you set them back. I got a beautiful blueberry garden this year, but the way I have it set up doesn't make any sense. So I got to move everything. But anyway, I really can't see a way around it. There's, once you realize things are in the wrong place, there's no point in keeping things the way they are. I mean, if you admit to yourself you've made a mistake, then you got to do something about it, right? There's just no point in sitting around thinking about it. Just do it, right? Anyway, that's where we are. I hope you found this video interesting. If you did, please like, share, subscribe, and until next time, get out there, get at it, have fun in your garden. Thanks for watching. Hey folks, want to help support everything I'm doing here? Check out my sponsors, Bessie's Seeds and Safer's Gardening Products. For Bessie's, go to their website, bessies.com, and use my coupon code GAVS22, and you'll get free shipping as long as there's a pack of seeds in your order and there's no oversized items in your order. Check out the description box of this video for details. For Safer's products, Woodstream products, you can buy all the things I use in my garden, slugget snail, kale, BTK, and all. You can buy that from Bessie's, or you can go to their websites for a much wider range of products to solve just about any kind of problem that you can imagine with high quality natural ingredients like oils from seeds and flowers and stuff like that. If you're in Canada, go to woodstreambrands.ca, and as long as your order is over $69, you get free shipping. If you're in the United States of America, then go to saferbrand.com, and as long as your order is over $45 US, you'll get free shipping from them. So yeah, if you want to help support the channel and the podcast, and they sell something you need, buy it from them, and that'll help support everything I'm doing here. Thanks a lot.